Hello? Can anyone hear me?
Yeah, this is Greg. Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, cool. So Chongjin told me he will not be able to join this week, so I will be hosting the meeting. Did anyone propose any agenda for, on the website? I'm trying to check. If you have done so, just please speak up so we can talk about it.
Yeah, this is Jimmy from Molex here, Yahweh. So I send out a message. So if there's a time, I can probably go over some idea on our next step, because right now Ali SONiC team already completed all the code check-in. So I was thinking like how can we move forward from this.
Okay, yeah, that sounds like a very good topic, and it's a very timely topic. We definitely need some discussions on this. Yeah, so is that the only agenda we have? Anyone else have proposed any other topic to discuss today?
There was a message from one of the persons saying the VM size is like 1.7 gig and we are not able to upload it. Just wanted to know if it is already uploaded, the VM image.
The VM image from Alibaba?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
They're having some issues uploading it because it's too huge. So just curious if it is uploaded or where is it, right?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, because in Alibaba we cannot use Google Drive, Google Drive, maybe.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
But it is not an issue anymore because now everything is checked in, right? So everyone should try to build from the build image.
Yeah, we can. I mean, that's one option.
Yeah, if we have any issue, then we can communicate to each other, and so everybody interested in will have a build image.
Yeah, but if the image is already available, it's easier for people to just load it on a VM and see as well, right? So I mean, you're doing an option. That's about it. That's what I was just thinking. It might be easier for us to load it, like the SONiC. If you think about the SONiC, right? SONiC networking, they basically upload all the images and everything to the website in the GitHub, and the nightly build, the nightly builds and weekly builds and everything, right? I mean, the release builds as well. So you could actually download it from there. So we can push it there. It should be fine too.
Yeah, that's a good point. So we can put the same place. Yeah. Good. I like the idea. Yeah.
Yeah, I did go your slides, right, which you posted, Jim. I did go over that. I think we have been discussing it for quite few weeks, right? You put it into writing now, I think, right? Saying that how do we basically go forward from here to merge into the SONiC repo, right? Yeah.
Okay, good ideas on where we host those images. I think, the same place as the SONiC project would be better. And Jimmy, please go ahead. You want me to share, or you can take the screen?
You can share. Yeah, it's fine. Just we can. Yeah, since you're already there, so let's go to the next one. So this is just nothing there. Okay, so I think some information we probably everybody already know, but I try just to briefly go over the background of the SONiC, right? So SONiC is originally a project from Microsoft, right? Contributed to OCP, but last year seems like it moved to Linux Foundation now, right? However, the SI, the API spec is still part of the OCP. Now, another variation is TIE is actually a TIP project, right? So now this is sort of the what have all the related work. Now for SONiC OTN, including line, I think we should be a SONiC sub project, right?
Why is it a sub project, do you think? I mean, it won't be. It's a SONiC is so you should be having routing as well as the transponder, right? Like two optical transport, right? Two different projects, right?
Yeah, but
it's not a sub project of routing.
Sub project meaning like the working group is under SONiC community, right?
Right.
So this also means like we are working within the SONiC community. Yeah. We are not outside of SONiC community. Is that kind of like everybody agree, right? Because So the result is that whatever we produce should contribute back to the larger SONiC community and try to be accepted by the community. Not like we are working on the side by ourselves. That's what I mean as a summer project.
Got it.
Yeah. Okay, so now since we have a working system already by Ali S-Link team, right? This is an excellent opportunity for us. So to work on that, right? I try to have some guidelines, kind of what is the high level objective. So first of all, we should not break the Ali S-Link device current working system, preserve existing working system, right? However, we can do some optimization modification. So the work we have done is less hardware dependent because currently is pretty much customized to the Alice device, right? Then in the future, open to other optical vendors. So this is sort of the guideline. Then another one, I think it's important, is compatible with upstream coder base. Needed to be mergeable because otherwise you have independent all the set of ripples, which is not it's not good, right? So you diverge from the official coder base. So what we should do is always fork SONiC ripples, and we try to do best not to introduce new ripples, git ripples, except maybe line. It's a brand new, so there's no other way other than introduce a new repository, right? But the other we can discuss. Then for the coder base, existing coder base, we should not remove whatever is already working, right? Not breaking the existing code, but we certainly can enhance or add to the current coder base, right? Now I understand that OTN is very different from switch and routers, right? Optical device and the transponder line system. So we probably, coder base, we should be mergeable, compatible. That's the goal. However, during the build time or even runtime, we can do some customization, right? So if it is an optical platform, we can kind of add some new docks, which is possible, and also maybe replace some not needed docks like all the routing team, multicast, all those kind of features. Then disable some packet features. Now, packet feature, we still need some. For example, OSPF, BGP, LLDP is still very useful. However, it's not really on the scale of switch and the routers. But for the optical device, the management interface, for example, OSC interface, right? It is desirable, still support L3, L2 protocols.
But Jimmy, those are not packet, right? That's really the protocol, the signaling. What you're talking about, like in my view, the packet probably more or less referring to the MPLS TP on the other side of like a packet transport layer, or you just can you establish, the definition of your role of packet?
So what I mean is like, for example, for the optical box, we have like a DCN management port, right, which connected to the outside, and the OSC port. Those are considered as a packet interface, right?
I think the signaling and routing.
Yeah, it's a control for the control.
You cannot say just disable the packet features. I don't agree with the statement.
Yeah, but one question, one thing here, right? So even in the networking, you have this management interface, right? It's called you call it as a decent interface, but it's called a management interface in the case of networking, and you basically get all your internal stuff through the control and everything through the management, right? So it is still there. I mean, there's no difference between a DCN and your management interface in the networking. And with respect to your question regarding routing, like OSPF and things like that, which you require in this case, that's a separate container in SONiC. It's basically called FRR, or you can run even Go BGP or something like that, I think individually. So that's a separate container, which basically talks to the host and basically gets all the routing information and things like that. So
yeah,
this
just
will be
using
part
it
of
as
your packet
signaling.
forwarding.
Using it as signaling as for the solution, and so we should not say that we disable those features.
Yeah, so for the FR as an example, what time is we still should keep that, right? Including the LADP container to manage the DCN port as well as OSC port. So these two ports, the control packet can be routed to remote destination. So anywhere in the world, you can kind of almost always access each devices.
Right.
Yeah.
So to your question about the packet, we can remove the networking part of the packet feature and things like that, which you're saying, right?
Yeah, packet is not as a service packet, data packet, but a control packet, right?
I understand that part. So what I'm saying is, right, that data packet, what you're talking about in networking for the SONiC is going to be going to the side, and we are not going to use the sides. And we are not going to, when you basically try to build your OTN now, for SONiC, you will not use the libraries of, you will not use basically the SI, right? You're going to use only the LI and then the Broadcom interfaces along with the SDK and things like that, right? So you will still not be using that features or whatever is there with the networking, right? It will still have the networking piece of it for you in your OTN, but that will not be the existing SI networking SONiC build details, right? It will be different.
I think there will be way more element into it as well, right? We probably need some kind of security, IPsec and TCL. So like, I'm not too sure. Like we can just put an umbrella that like we disable all these packet features.
No, you won't disable packet.
Right. Just this statement of disable some packet features is a bit confusing because it's a subjective statement. It's not really quantitative statement, right? So what I hear is everyone's aligned on what is needed. The control plane, routings, LLDPs, all those things are needed. We all agree on that. Just maybe don't try to focus on this single statement too much.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So what I mean, some features is like a multicast. We never will need it, right? So like lag. Link aggregation, we don't need.
You don't know, you don't know whether it's needed or not.
So,
like in some of the product, they may need it.
Okay. Let's move forward. Yeah, next page. Okay, so now how do we actually work, right? For the coding wise, development wise. So what I propose here is we have a master branch. We have a 12 repos or 11. SONiC Git repo already contributed by Ali team, right? So these are all master, right? So those master, they are all forked from the upstream of SONiC. Now we will create a new branch called a dev. from the existing master, then everybody can contribute, put a pull request into the dev, right? Then hopefully at a certain point, I would probably think, yeah, we assume like, let's say we this working group will last for two years, then we will probably, I think, spend 1 year or so, try to make dev branch modify. The main thing is optimize to make it more generic and compatible with upstream. Now the final goal is we make a pull request to the upstream. Then at that point, I think the SONiC OTN working group's job is done. Then OT vendor can feel free. I mean, then actually everybody is working on the official branch. No longer this dev branch is needed. So that is the sort of the code management proposal here, right? Any comment on that?
Yeah, I'm a bit concerned, like if we work on this dev branch for 2 years and then try to push it back to the master branch, the changes will be too big for the master branch to even be able to reveal, right? So
yes, you're right. It's a repository based. Yeah. So I don't know. So how frequently, we can discuss, right? How frequently we should send a pull request to the upstream. For example, OTI lie definitely can go first because it's independent, nothing to do with existing upstream, right? But some, if there's a side effect or whatever, then we want to start early. So two years is kind of the end point. You are right. So this we will continue doing this. Whenever ready, we will try to merge it back. Yeah.
Yeah, one my thought is like we can divide the topic into topic categories. For one category, we focus on closing all the feature requests and bug fixes and try to push it back, right? So we said OTI can be one category, and this relatively independent ones, we can try push it back sooner. And other things that may leverage the routing platforms, the LDP protocols, right? So those are things that are existing in SONiC already. So how we try to leverage it or make any changes to it, then we can put that as one specific topic category. Within a certain time frame, we solicited for changes and bug fixes, and after we close it, and we try to push this one topic category back, right? So divide it up into smaller categories instead of pushing everything back in one shot.
Exactly.
Yeah. So my thought is, right, so basically the way we should do this is we are basically taking SONiC is our master branch. From there, you basically pull everything. Take an existing one, and we need to figure. First thing is like we need to be able to get the different repos clearly defined. If there are independent repos for just OTN, that's easier to manage. So that doesn't have any effect on the existing SONiC, right? So we need to basically categorize that. What are the independent repos with respect to SONiC, right? Now networking. Then the next part will be what are the I think like SONiC utilities and CLI and things like that, right? We are basically taking from the existing SONiC networking, and you will be enhancing that or maybe adding more features for OTN on top of it, right? So that will be a separate category. So once we do this, right, identify these different repos, then the build environment has to be set. We can't blindly just send one thing to the one or two, right, directly to the mainstream, right? It needs to be set up properly for the build environment. The build environment has to be set up as well, right? So once you know that you are able to build, then you'll be able to basically push these independent ones, which are only for OTN first, which will not have any effect on the SONiC networking build, then basically merge the rest of the stuff without any issues, right? That's probably the step-by-step way we should probably approach, I'm thinking.
Agree. But if you submit a pull request to the upstream, then I mean, there's usually a process of that, right? So
yeah, there is. Yeah, so I think even the whole structure, what we are talking now, that needs to be discussed with the SONiC team first, right? I mean, they have
yeah,
to be in line with
communicate
what-
with them because the scope is big for this. So I don't know, Yahweh, probably you can kind of approach the community. I don't know, whoever to kind of inform what is our plan and what we are working on, right? So they have kind of some sense.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's Gohan and Liva, right? They're in SONiC. Maybe we can just give them the details about how we are basically handling the SONiC OTN part of it and trying to come up with a systematic way of pushing the code back to the SONiC generic networking platform, right? Which now will include both the networking and the optical networking.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Gohan and Liwa, they are aware of this work. That is already happening. And the detailed plans of getting some code pushed back on what agenda, right? So that's we will need to think with a PM manager, and then we can propose something for the community review. In general, this effort is very welcome. I think the community is just waiting for us to get a detailed plan and try to see some some activities going back to the major community.
Right. I think the plan is what we probably need to put it in place, and then maybe run through Gohan, Liwa, and maybe like Shin is probably the project manager there, I think, in SONiC, if I'm not wrong. Maybe
Yes.
Shin, right? Yeah. So we can go through with them these things, and we can just say this is probably the plan. And yeah, we might have to run because if you're taking the existing networking and trying to add on top of it, enhance it, right? We might have to run their existing test cases to make sure that nothing is broken on their end before we basically push it, right? So it'll be a series of steps which we need to follow.
Yeah, I think so. I think we should discuss the strategy once we make the decision. Then we can let the SONiC team know that. Then we can have a plan. And because I think if we want to merge it back, I think there will be a huge effort for the OTN team. I think I would like to call for the action from the community, from the vendors. So maybe some vendors can focus on northbound modules, someone the southbound modules. So I think firstly the community or this group should review the code we already submit to the GitHub. I think some modules it's difficult to merge it back to the official branch, but we can discuss this as Jimmy suggested. For example, I think the build image is very hard to merge it back. Maybe we need deep discussing on how and the strategy, but such as the OLSS and the SYNCD, I think maybe we can submit as a separate Docker or separate repos. But the other ones, such as CLI or the telemetry, these ones, I think right now is a little bit difficult to merge it back to the official one. So once we make the design, how we merge it back, the strategy is, then we can connect to the SONiC OTN and give a proposal, and we can make a plan like this.
Yeah, that's a way. I think that's a good point. So may I ask, like right now, for example, this open source community is actually individual based, but we are all working for a company, right? So it's like you are affiliated with a company. Now, from I actually, before today's meeting, I talked to the management, and they sort of fully support. So, for example, Molex can probably contribute 2 to 3 developers full time during the next foreseeable future for that. So we probably can sort of, everybody can do the same thing from company point of view. So we know how much people we have, right? Then have a plan. I don't know from Ali, Wing10, do you know, like you guys will have like a few people dedicated to work on this? or is all part-time, like extra work, then that will be a different.
Yeah, so actually we are using the initial source code in our product, and we are keeping developing on this because we want to merge it back to the OTN. I think the development is a separate one from our product right now.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm not sure we have enough resource for us to contribute to this one, but I think maybe we can have 1 or 2 developers part-time work on this group. But I would like to invite the vendors, the SONiC, to see if they can contribute a lot of their contribute some effort on this. Yeah.
This is the assumption, right? If we cannot get enough people, then there's no point to do this, because if you look at the scope, right, of this, to make it compatible and contribute back to the SONiC upstream is not a small job. So
right, you're right. You're right. I mean, you're absolutely right. But the thing is, right, we can't sit here and say, okay, every vendor or anybody should basically put like 2 people or 3 people. Right? That's not possible from our end, and that's also not possible from their end to tell now, right? So they I mean, any company, right, or vendor, they basically have to go back and check and see the budget and things like that, how the resources available, things like that. So that's not in our hands, right? So as of now, I think whoever's like involved now, if they can contribute, that will be the way. I think that's the way it went up even in SONiC. Initially, only like 3 or 4 were doing it, and then later on, like all the companies started coming in and they started basically pitching in and helping out, right? Their part, actually, it will be only their vendor specific part areas where they were basically doing it. It's not basically the common one there as well. The initial phase was only for the common. It was basically going to the community baseline, right, where all the code was going into the community's source code, right, GitHub. Then once vendors started basically putting in, right, so it basically branched off and people started doing it different way as well. So that's how it is. So I mean, people will help. They will because it's a collective effort, right? If you see about a community software means, right, open source communities, it's a collective effort. So people jump in and help in different areas as well. But I think at least the build part, right, should has, if you're going to integrate with SONiC, we probably might have to check with the existing SONiC team and see how this existing build environment is being set up, which is completely different from the way the other build environment of SONiC is done, right? We just have to at least go and fix that first, right? Isn't it?
Yeah. So in my mind, the critical point would be after you successfully contribute the check into the upstream, then you can attract many users, right?
Yes.
Until that point, I don't think that too many people will trust you or whatever, right? They will kind of to look at the use this code base. So
the generic part will always be the community code, right?
Yeah.
So if you're having anything specific, then you probably I mean, most of the vendors, right, they have their own branch out of it and they basically give it as separate separate way of doing things, right? So but at least the generic part of it will go into the community software and we will update that, right? And that will go through the process of raising a PR. And so actually it goes to the process of initially getting the functional spec, what you're doing, and then the design spec, and then the community basically discuss the whole design. I mean, that's how I did it when I was doing in the networking for the management VRF. We just wrote the functional spec first and then discussed and then basically came up with the POC doing for both different ways of getting this done, and then agreed on one part, and then we basically designed it, then push in the code and things like that, right? So that's how it's going to be. Yeah, you just have to work with the community as well as the existing SONiC team as well, right? Because we are merging it to them. It's not an independent thing which we are pulling and doing it parallelly, right? We are going to merge it back, then they will be involved in this so that we don't break their existing way of building or existing their features or something like that, which we will not be having any impact on it, but still, right?
Mm-hmm. All right. So let's see how much. Okay, so I probably we actually look at the line repo, then they have some feedbacks on that. I just go through quickly, then we see is that kind of makes sense or not. So first of all, we already have agreed like change the name to OTI, but in reality, because all the sources are based on the line name already, right? So when we do that is we can talk about that. We want to do right now, or we want to kind of sort of have the repo almost ready, then do the name change. I mean, we can either will be fine. However, we need to write a spec, right, for OTI. That is for sure. And very similar to, I have a link to the size spec. So that one should be submitted into large SONiC community to get approved and check into their documentation. I don't know, right? So it is
exactly that's the expectation. And, for intention of contributing and merging back to the bigger community, that can be verbally communicated, but the official notice of the intention and the description of what exactly is your intention, right? So it should be defined in the HLD. HLD is the official notification of, okay, we are trying to do something. This is what it looks like, and we have the intention of getting back to the master branch, right? So that's the right way of doing it. Yeah.
So what do you mean? The spec and HLD is different, right? Oh.
The spec and HLD is essentially the intention of contributing.
Okay, I see. So why we want to do this thing basically, right? So
yeah,
and okay, yeah. So before we, I mean, it's pretty much OTI will be an independent repository, right? That's for sure. So we will need to check into SONiC net, right, in the GitHub. So we need to have a permission to do that. But I think we need to write a spec and then first to get approved. So, and it won't affect the existing system at all, right? But still, I think is there a process to create a new repo and GitHub SONiC net? Or I don't know the process. Anyway,
what is the process you're talking about?
Yeah, if GitHub SONiC net is a folder, a repository, and underneath there's many individual repository, right? Now, if I want to add one new repository into that, what is the process? My repository is nothing to do with the rest of the SONiC yet, right? I simply want to define these APIs first. So.
Right.
You want the official create one there.
So it become official, then the other vendor
like
will.
Yahweh, could you try to get it opened, like get a folder created there on GitHub so everybody can contribute after?
Oh, it's gone now. So let me.
Yeah, sorry, I think I lost my screen sharing. I heard a question.
Let me do that.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I know there's a process exists. I don't know what details are in it. I can go take an action item and go back and check what steps are needed to really create a new report that allows all of us to contribute.
Yeah,
so.
I think that would be good. Like Yahweh, you can take an initiative to on this one, because I think that this should come from you or Chongxin to create report.
Yeah. Sure.
Okay.
But in terms of writing the spec on HOD, we need so we define those guidelines on those as well.
Yeah, for example, like I don't know if you can see my screen. Let me.
Yeah, I see it.
If you can see the screen.
Okay, so that is sort of the size spec. I don't know if we need to do that formal, but it's they sped out like those things, right?
Yeah, I
Then-
think it should be, right?
Okay.
Because SI is switch abstraction interface, right? Which is basically interface vendor agnostic, hardware agnostic, and things like that, right? So we are in line with developing something like that with OTI or LI or whatever we call, right? I think I would prefer the name OAI, which is similar to SI, and it's a three character. And OAI, we can just say is optical transport abstraction interface, right?
Oh, OAI.
OAI, which is similar to the way we are doing.
Make people think that we are OpenAI. So it's
Say that again.
Why don't we just call it like OAI or TAI instead of OTAI, or just our curiosity?
TAI is already there. It's Thai, right? So and OAI is
Thai is already there. I think we already have OAI. Is that already so I heard?
No, it's
OAI
like
is
Yahweh
open
saying that OAI is open AI, which is another like open, source community.
Okay. So there's
So
already
you don't want to reuse their name. I think that's what.
There was one thing which we said also, FAI, which is fiber optic.
No,
abstraction.
nothing like. I think that.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay, that's a minor thing. Let's not go into that. Like maybe I'll be discussing. Right? So the point here is like, I think, in my opinion, we should basically define those APIs, whatever is common, which can be used by multiple vendors in a similar way as size, so that it's easier for people to understand and use as well, right? Documentation is definitely.
No, I think before we define it, we need to define a scheme of like define the API, what's the base API, what if a certain vendor come in, they need to augment this API, or they need to expand it, or they need to add new one, and what will be the policy of doing that? And if we do like harmonize those policy, and then once we have this policy in place, then like just individual people just start contributing instead, right?
Yeah.
So the key thing is to define those process and policy.
Yeah, we have to define the process. The structure in place has to be there, right?
Yeah.
Even size, even size is evolving, right? So it's not like we define, then that's it. We can always change. Yeah.
We focus on what we need, and then we need to define a policy. Of course, like we need to follow the experience, because they must done that when they develop the design. But we need to do what makes sense to this particular initiative.
Okay. That's good. So now move on to
one more thing, Jimmy. Sorry to interrupt you.
Go ahead.
So Yahweh, this way you also saying that we'll basically go and ask the SONiC to basically get a repo first created in SONiC, right? So I think that's going to be the last step, in my opinion, right? You will take a branch out of SONiC and you basically start pushing the documentation and everything, right? First, and then once you wanted to merge it back to the main branch is when you're basically going to create those repos in the SONiC existing repo, right? So maybe what we could do is that's what as I said at the beginning, right? We basically have to come up with what are the independent repos which are not having an effect on the existing SONiC, and what are the ones which are basically going to enhance it as well, right? And then maybe give that, and so that we give them, these are the things, these are the ones which are going to interact with the existing one, these are the ones which are going to be new ones, and then basically ask them to do in the back end. Meanwhile, we can start doing the other things parallelly on the branch which you pull out of SONiC, right?
No, I think like I have a different opinion. I think we should open a new repo under the SONiC, and then we need to put a charter there, and then we can start contributing. And we should cut over from the development to the repo early instead of like you've been doing the parallel development and then it's never ended.
No. You will be syncing. No, once you get this process of, because the approval needs to happen for all their HLD and everything, right? Then only you'll basically your design and implementation and then push it, right? When you push it, you will be syncing from the SONiC and basically pushing it frequently. You will not be wait until like 1 year or something. You got to basically keep, when you're ready, sync it, push it. Make sure nothing breaks.
So the first thing first, we need to get it aligned with the SONiC community that so they need to be aware of this, like this initiative, and then we need to get alignment with them on the merging, and then we start merging in. Of course, like that will be a long process to get alignment with the community. And then also like whatever we thinking, like we should not contaminate each other. I think that's another key discussion as well.
Yeah, I think we need something like a HLD for ourselves, right? So all these intentions of when we will be creating a repo, what repo. We need to write it down.
That's I think we need the charter of the working group, and then we need the like spec of the various of the solution, right? And then we need the HLD to highlight each of the function and what will each of the building, what are the key building block, or what will they do? I agree.
Yeah.
What is that? Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe the next action item would be like, okay, we need to get a line on ourselves, right? So even including the name change, we know there's another name. In terms of the name, there was already a voting process before, and most people voted for O-type. But I agree, if there's different opinions, we can have another voting process. But let's get this written down, right? So there need to be a high-level doc. The doc should include our intention of contribution, right? So not just say it, but write it down. So what is our intention of contribution? The HLD of what exactly we are thinking about contributing, timeline of what the contribution looks like in general, right? And also, what do we create a new repo? When do we create a new repo? How this repo works with other repos? What other repos we intend to reuse, right? So in future, all those we need a working document to write it down instead of just talk it here, but then later people may forget, right? So I think this working document almost like maybe a empty file in Weitang's current repo. Because if everyone has access, we use that as a central place for us to collaborate. And then working on this one single document, line by line, to really get the high-level intentions written out, right?
So this document is internal working document, or it will be published to community?
It will become the HLD we try to push back to the SONiC.
Okay, I see. Initially, a working document style. Okay.
Yes, let's start working on the HLD. The final HLD we push back to SONiC community can be based on this, right? So it doesn't have to be 100% there, but it can be based on this. We should have everything we intend to push back to SONiC community written down, and then have a HLD from there.
Okay, so who will do that?
I'm thinking like Weitang, this is your repo. Can you start that? Let's create a document maybe somewhere in the root folders of your of your repo.
Okay. So I suggest that
let's get information from Weitang. Right? So since I'm asking your help from Weitang, and do you agree to do it this way?
Yeah. So what should I create is all the high-level design document or the plans?
Yeah, let's say like let's call it maybe a HLD, right? So let's the target is that we get this HLD written in a way everyone can agree and contribute, and then push back to SONiC. The first thing we're going to push back to SONiC community is the HLD design, right? So, but then let's draft this HLD design in your repo so everyone can comment and raise it, right? So let's call it maybe a OTI HLD, right? So something like that, spec HLD, and then start with our intention of why this project should be created and what is our intention of. You don't have to read much, right? So maybe just a bullet items first at the draft, so we can all contribute to that same file to say our intention. Yeah, so a separate repo, word repo, all the things, and for this, if OTI is a specific repo, then what are you going to describe, what are you going to have, and how this works with others, right? So all this, we can write it down there.
Okay, sure.
Okay. So we can, do you have time? I mean, we two of us, I think we can work together. I have some time willing to working on this. So maybe like a targeting next meeting, we can have like a template, something to show the team to see.
Sure. We can work together.
Yeah. Okay.
Jimmy, if you want help, I can spend some time also with you.
Oh, okay, that's good. So we let's talk. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, because we have been in line discussing a lot of things. So maybe I thought if you miss something, I can add it as well.
Sure. Okay. So I don't think we have much time, but so next thing I will very briefly we'll see based on the current the line code. We did some review and have some comment. Basically, the SONiC side actually has the API wise has 3 categories. So they call the mandatory. So all the vendor need to implement, otherwise the switch will not even work, right? That makes sense. Then some are so-called optional. Then some are customized API for specific vendors. So vendor extension, basically, right? So all those. So we probably should follow that kind of a scheme and look at the current line or OTI APIs and characterize the APIs into these 3 sort of categories to make it more open, basically, right? So that is the first.
Are you supposed to move to slide number 5? I'm still looking at slide number 4.
Sorry,
Jimmy. Yeah, Jimmy, you are sharing. Are you talking about slide number 5? We are all looking at slide number 4 on the screen now.
Yeah, slide number 4. 4 is there's 3 kind of category, right? I don't know if you can see my mouse, but inside for this document, they define that there's a table, say which one is mandatory, which one is optional, and which one is customized, right? So similar thing, my feedback to the existing line API, we should do the same thing. In the spec, we should state clearly, for example, the core optical service in the open YARN model, like transport, like amplify, OPS, attenuation, WSS, all these should be core, right? So whatever vendor should implement that. If you don't implement that, then the optical box will not work, right? Now, example of optional will be, now the transceiver actually is currently already supported, right? However, the line has a transceiver API too. So maybe we can open that up to the user whether they want to use existing SONiC transceiver, because transceiver here is just a module, okay, pluggable module. Or they will go to SYNC-D side with the PI API. Then the current line implementation again is put all these generic like functions into Line API. In my mind, we probably should make them customize the API because the early device implemented that way, which is okay. But however, the other vendor, they don't have to do this way. We can reuse whatever SONiC already have in the platform daemon monitor container to do all this work, right? So this is.
I don't think we should make any of the API mandatory, but we should have some set of base API, and then also we should be able to make it pluggable, which is like if we add a certain device or application, then you should be able to extend the API to support those devices or the type of devices. But we can discuss.
Okay. Yeah. I just try to follow whatever Sai is doing, right? So this is the piece we are missing. We make everything mandatory. If you don't implement one API, then it will not work. That is not good. So this is the feedback for the current existing code. Now this is the minor thing. So there's many duplicated attributes, especially like the product name, serial number, manufacturing data, versions, all these. This can be defined as a macro. So you can remove so many replicated attributes in each component. So that I have a commit here. If you guys have a chance, you can take a look. So make the Line OTI API much smaller. It's not like now every file is too many attributes. So then another thing I have not changed in this commit. However, we noted some kind of a typos, right? For example, SONiC usually like an empty Boolean, they usually use present. So this card is present or not. So we can change the name. Removable in the SONiC community, they use replaceable. Then consistent name. Go ahead.
So the empty and the removable is we get it from the OpenConfig definition. So
I see.
We can keep both.
Okay.
And, yeah.
Open configure, yeah. Then we can.
But like we are SONiC, right? We start live with the SONiC naming convention. Because I think that should be the key. Number one, number two, if open config, they're using empty and removable, which is individual vendors, they need to do a mapping, like mapping present to empty and replaceable to removable.
Yeah.
Otherwise, like if you have a different naming convention into OTN rather than the deviated from the SONiC community, and then it will be very difficult to get agree to merge in, to pull in to the community.
I agree. Since we are working SONiC, so we should enhance inherit these names, right? So do a mapping maybe.
Gary here, like if there's ever a conflict between the naming conventions, let's follow SONic's naming convention. Honestly, SONiC is more popular. I think now in terms of being.
Yeah, I think because we are the SONiC group, so that's why we need to follow the SONiC naming convention. That's my view.
Okay. Yeah. Then second is some like for example. The main state, most you use the main state, but there's this specific case, media channel is called the main status. Maybe we should consolidate, right? So this is the empty, same thing. Now bit rate in the SONiC, they used to use this one word like a bit rate, not underscore. Now this is simply a typo. V10 is new work, should be network, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
Well, but Jimmy, It's good, but I think there will be a lot of this name when it's scrutinized on those. So maybe like we need to like look into all this naming and then convert it properly and ally properly to the SONiC community. But it's a good initiative from you.
Yeah. I just like spotted these things, right? So I'm sure there's probably more. So, but we found something, then we kind of fix them. So yeah, so that's all. Yeah. So I think that's all I have today.
Yeah, so I think we can raise issues in the live repos, then somebody can address it.
Yeah. So we can please take a look at this check-in to see if it makes sense, right? So there's all these common attributes, then we can sort of to use a macro to capture them. So in each individual file, you only need to put this macro in there. It will contain all these manufacturing data, as well as like a version, software upgrade, all this kind of stuff. Yeah.
That's a good point. So right now, maybe it's not right time to merge it back into the live repo right now, because once you move back, the building will be break, because we need to modify
exactly. So yeah,
so they must take place in one shot together. So I would like to ask some question in the slide 3, because I think we skip some discussion. Can you go back to the slide 3? Yeah. So I think the right side, there are some modification raised by Jimmy. I think these are very important for us, for the strategy we merged back to the master branch. So I think I would like to suggest the community to think about this. I think these are very good questions for us to discussing in the next, because we need make a decision how we merge back, then we can have a proposal to the official community. Then yeah, so right now I think, as I mentioned, I think the OSS and the live Redis can be a separate repo, but the other ones I think we can discuss how we can merge it back. If our code base is too messy up, maybe the master branch, they will refuse to merge our source code back. So we need to find a very good way to merge it back. A separate package or separate Docker, or separate, separate repo. These are the key decisions from the group.
Yeah, there's two mechanisms we can utilize. One is the independent repo, right? So second is actually the build the process. We can customize too. So if it is a platform is optical, then we can do certain things, right, to customize the container.
That needs to be done no matter what, right? You have to do it, right? So but the other point I wanted to mention is like the existing SONiC utilities on the right side, right? We created a new report. I think we should not be doing that for certain. It has to be extension on top of the existing SONiC utilities. Otherwise, it will be really difficult to merge it back because we are just copying and pasting. And if there's it's a duplicate effort. And if there's some problem or something needs to be fixed on the utilities, then we have to come back and fix here as well, right? So it's always better to just take a fork out of it and then do extension on top of it, or enhancements for our optical, so that it's easier for us to merge it back as well, right? Also, and even the CLI and things like that, which I've given the same comment earlier as well. Yeah, but might be and OLSS, it's similar to SWSS, right? Or it's not an extension to SWSS, I think. So I think we should be fine on those two.
Yes. OSS, if we want to modify OSS and the live Redis, if we want to reuse SWSS and the side Redis, that will be lots of work too.
No, you can't do that because side Redis, the way it is today, is like it'll work on the you have to run the SONiC on your this thing also, right? Your hardware, the line card. That's not going to work, right? We are not running. We're running it only in the controller card, right? So if you go one level down, then then we can add to that. But with this approach, right, it's going to be different. So that will be definitely independent. I can see that. I think even SWSS, we can just substitute or like replace that. We don't need that. And if everything is done by the OLSS, I think we should be fine. Unless and otherwise, right? There are some things through the CLI, because the CLI and other things also goes through SWSS for any configuration change, whether it is coming from northbound or whether through CLI or anything, right? It'll update the Redis, and the Redis basically it goes back to SWSS. That's the main crux of the whole SONiC there, which has the org agent and things like that. So it'll process and then again update the Redis, and then it basically goes back to the synced using the Redis, right, to the ASIC to be programmed in the hardware. So if you are using existing way of doing things with the SWSS as well, then we need to see how to basically make both of these to run, right? If you're using all the things, right? Otherwise, we could just have the OLSS. And
I still don't know, whether which way to go. But I think each repo will definitely deserve one session of our discussion, right? So, so we will probably need to go one by one after we finish the OTI. In my mind, if we finish the OTI design, then pretty much we tell the community what we try to accomplish, right? And have the spec. Then we can get even the feedback outside of our group, working group, right? Other people will see that. Then that will be a good start. Then we work on the repo one by one and redesign or modify to.
Yeah, agree.
Let's maybe what more efficient way of moving these discussions ideas forward faster is let's create a doc, right? So with the doc we can write it down. Even beyond the meeting time, we can have some discussions written down in as comments and as issues, right? So in a doc, and then by the time we get chance to talk with each other, the discussions can also be more efficient. So there's very good topics, and some of them may even deserve more than one time of discussion, right? So, but having the written down doc can also help.
Yeah, that's a good idea. So we should put in a doc, like gather whatever the topic we kind of talk, right? Or potential in the future talk. Yeah. Then everybody can we can work offline, not necessarily in the bi-weekly meeting, right?
So I will create this some document in the repos. Then yeah, let's keep going.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, we're very fruitful discussion today. I appreciate everyone's contribution and attention. This is really moving, and let's keep it moving. Please use the email list and use our wiki page to get everyone's attention when we are off the meeting schedules. And then next week, next 2 weeks, we will see what agendas we have. And of course, one of the things we already talked about is to have a HLD draft to start with, start everyone to work with, right? So, and we can go from there. Thank you, everyone, again, and yeah, appreciate all your efforts on this topic, and let's keep it moving. Thanks. Have a good one.
Okay, bye-bye.
Yeah, bye now.
Thanks, bye.